Here we are. It is us on a Monday night. Good evening, good day, good whatever it would be. Bill, we're here.
Good evening. I'm in Minnesota too. Don't worry.
We are, and it's been a beautiful day here in Minnesota. You know, a lot of the times people give us crap that we have our 35 seconds of summer, which was this past weekend, and now we've got a beautiful day.
And now we are battening down the hatches for a cold winter.
Yeah, exactly. Already. So, Bill, tonight we're going to talk about Snapchat, and we're going to break into some social media talk as we go along because, well, you can't really talk about one social media world without touching the others.
Yes.
Could that get in trouble, touching social media?
We are a touch-free zone on Snapchat.
That we are. Hey, Matt, thanks for joining us tonight. We've got the chat room. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, thank you for watching. The chat room we're going to be watching is on YouTube, so that's where we'll catch that. But Buttery's with us tonight. We've got Ian. I'm not sure if Ian, last night he checked in. He had something going on. I don't remember if he was going out of town. I don't know. Or Ian's a busy guy. He's got things going on. So some of our regular visitors that hang with us, Bill.
Awesome. Welcome aboard, everyone.
So let's talk a little bit about Snapchat. We were just reading about it, talking about it a little bit, and we wanted to kind of give just a little bit of background, what have you, for those of us. And I'm speaking as someone who doesn't use it too often. Okay, so I think I've only done two things. I've posted two things on Snapchat. I have it. I couldn't even tell you what it is.
That's two more than most, though, John. So you are ahead of the curve.
I might be ahead of the curve. Oh, I see there's a Snapchat notification. So Snapchat started in 2011, and it sounds like 2014 when I added video was a big time. But for those who have no idea beyond what I just said, what is Snapchat, Bill?
You know, Snapchat is an app that basically is a way to communicate with other people. It kind of took the idea of picture messaging to the next level. At first, Snapchat was basically to send snaps or picture messages back and forth to people. And the weird and unique thing about Snapchat was it was a temporary message. It was only going to be there for anywhere from 6 seconds to 10 seconds, depending on how long your settings are. So that kind of made it known for creepers to be sending really nasty pictures and photos. So that's kind of what I think a lot of people initially were a little nervous to get involved in Snapchat.
Exactly. I mean, I know from my perspective, my wife, Lori, was hearing about what Snapchat was used for, and I'm sure there was a level of her that was a little concerned about having it, especially when a person is doing teen dances to the level that we do. That there's just some weird things can happen and get you in trouble quickly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, all social media is that way. Anything where you're basically connecting with people, it can all be misused. But Snapchat has made many leaps and bounds and can be a very powerful tool now. It's definitely a different demographic than like even Facebook and such. I think what happened was once Facebook was cool back in the day, and then all the adults like us, John, you know what I'm saying? When we got on Facebook, we kind of scared away that younger generation, and now they're all doing the Snapchat.
See, that's an interesting thing because I've heard that, and then I talked to my kids, are in their teenage years, and their friends, and you really aren't. I'm not seeing a ton of kids Snapchatting at that age. Where I've noticed it in at least our geographic region is the elementary age kids are Snapchatting. And
I haven't noticed that young, but I know that my elementary aged daughter loves Snapchat. She's not allowed on Snapchat, but she plays with my Snapchat quite a bit. But she loves it mainly because you can make rainbows and butterflies and unicorns and the little Snapchat ghost and all these fun little filters that they've added recently to Snapchat to really make it entertaining.
So do you think they added that basically with the idea they're going to catch these kids? Kind of like, we see these cigarette commercials where they talk about, oh, here's a grape-flavored cigarette. Is that the idea that they basically use that as it's cute and it's fun for the kids, and the kids start using it and they become comfortable with it, hoping that they'll just continue on with it? Be interesting.
That's part of it. That's got to be part of it. I mean, and the funny thing is, though, is like of all the people who I follow on Snapchat, a lot of them are all adults, and they're all using those filters too. In fact, they make them crazy and silly. So definitely, I think the part of it is the kids' appeal, and they have a lot of fun, making their face distort and all different things, and then vomiting out rainbows and all this craziness. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, our mutual friend Jeremy, he. When he's bored and he's at the dinner table, there's all of a sudden Snapchat going, or snaps It's like, oh, really? I didn't know that Jerry looked like that.
You need to follow Jeremy Lanby on Snapchat. If you don't follow him, he is definitely entertaining, if nothing else. So
Yes.
plus he travels around the nation. He's always driving. He doesn't fly anywhere, I swear. He drives, and he takes a lot of fun Snapchats and a lot of different filters, and it's very entertaining. Yes. So.
And Jeremy's one that has a company that does a lot of teen dances. So
Yes.
he was one as Snapchat was evolving from the thing with the kids and doing their things. He was doing a lot of the Snapchat to his kids that were following him, because he had, goodness, a huge number of kids, teens from the northern Minnesota area that were following him on Snapchat, which is just crazy to me, but that's where they were comfortable. They would follow him there more than they would follow him on Twitter or on Facebook.
You know, and no matter where you are on social media, the idea is always to have an audience. Have someone, you know, obviously you want to tell people, follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Snapchat, follow our snaps. And the nice thing about Snapchat now is these temporary messages, they still exist. I can send Jeremy a temporary message saying, hey, you crazy dude, and make my face look like a rainbow. Or I can actually send one to all of my followers as a story, which is then going to be good for 24 hours. And people can go back and replay it and watch that. So that really makes it more powerful for DJs to use it as a marketing tool. So once you have people following you, let's say I'm at a wedding and I get permission from the bride and groom to say, take a picture of my setup or their setup or uplighting in the place. Or even if they're doing their toast, I'm going to ask beforehand, make sure I get their permission.
Yep.
Maybe I could do a Snapchat of that. Then that could be a story. So for the next 24 hours till Sunday evening, that would be live. So anyone who follows me as a DJ can say, hey, look at this, you know, Bill did a great job of helping them do their toasts or whatever, you know, it is, or those kind of things. So it can then turn into a marketing tool. And just because there's a time limitation, you can do multiple snaps. In fact, some of the people I follow on Snapchat who do a very good job on Snapchat will do repeated snaps. So basically they'll do a 10-second here, a 20-second here, you know, all these different time frames, you know, I think it's 15 seconds of video. They'll do all these different videos. Next thing you know, you're watching like 3 minutes of video, but it's like 10 separate snaps.
So they'd be like telling a story or explaining a situation over the course of a handful of snaps.
Correct. That's exactly it. And then you can use a lot of cool things like the text over the pictures or the video. You can kind of comment them. There's all these different filters that are available that I'll be honest, I'm not a Snapchat expert. I haven't even dug into how deep it can be. However, some of the people I do follow do quite a bit. So
Right. And that's what I've noticed, that there's like Jason Jani, he does a lot with it. Jason Yoshino from Sioux Falls, both are on my friends list, and you do more with Snapchat. But the part I always find is kind of humorous is that they're sharing the Snap things and they're sharing them through Facebook. You know, it's that cross the social media world. It's like, okay, I'm really active in Twitter, but a lot of my contacts on my Twitter account happen because of it's connected to Facebook, and that's how things work back and forth.
And you know what? It's all these different funnels, if you will. You got the Twitter feeds, you got the Facebook feed, you got the Snapchat. You know, if I have one friend, I want them to be following me on all those channels. And then as a content generator, someone who is, you know, now communicating with those audiences, I want to be consistent, you know, and if I can tell people on my Twitter feed, you know, this is what's going on, I want to say the same thing on Facebook or Snapchat, maybe just in a different way.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things with the Snapchat that a lot of again, people in Jeremy Lamby's world, and maybe I'm not sure if Jeremy uses this, but they can use the Snapchat to do kind of, say that they're getting their show set up, a teen dance, they're getting it set up, and they're going to be in, let's say they're going to be doing Minneapolis High School. So we're going to be doing that, and they could be tweeting or Snapchatting and showing the setup throughout the day, and they could give it some of that behind the scenes things, which wouldn't probably fit in a Facebook world anymore, because it's for one thing, those kids aren't going to be there.
Right. That is definitely part of it. You know, and I think that's exactly it. You can kind of give that behind the scenes access that, you know, people who aspire to be a DJ, they see you performing, they see everyone going crazy, and they think, man, I want to be a DJ. We can kind of roll back the curtain. You can do a Snapchat after the dance is done, when the dance floor is now slowly come apart, and you can show them all the devastation and then say, and now only another hour and a half until I'm in my truck going home. Mm-hmm. So it's that kind of, you know, pulling the curtain back and showing people the real life side of of DJing, but you can also make it fun, and you can also make it educational and entertaining.
And I found it interesting. We were looking at an article earlier talking about Snapchat from Social Media Examiner. And if you guys haven't heard of Social Media Examiner, it's one of the biggest social media conferences and right now resources pretty much in the industry. In that article, though, they talked about encouraging contests and things within Snapchat, which I found very interesting because when Facebook first started up, they were penalizing on shutting accounts down if you were doing different contests and such associated with your Facebook page. It was incredible how active and aggressive they were with that. And now here, coming from Social Media Examiner, they're encouraging that contest, which means that Snapchat obviously isn't penalizing or slapping you down for it, which I found very interesting.
Did you say snapping them down?
Slapping them down.
Slapping. Sorry.
Snap them down too. Snap them down. How would that work? I don't even know what a snapping them down would look like. But it would fit. But yeah, no, it wouldn't.
All right, sorry.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing. Did you get a chance? One of the areas I've heard people talking about is where they can actually go buy a overlay.
Again, this is where I haven't dug deep into it. However, I have seen some overlays. Like I've seen a few that were down. Some people were vacationing, right? And then it said, "Welcome to Orlando" or something like that. So I believe that's kind of what the overlay is. So you can actually kind of have a frame around your snaps that are from different locations and locales. So that's at least one way I've seen it being used, at least my understanding. But yeah, like I say, if I wanted for my company buy an overlay, so where it said, DJ Bill rocks or something like that, so I could tell all my people who are there, hey, snap at me, and say DJ Bill rocks, and follow me on at Snapchat. My Snapchat handle is DJ Bill Lage, Lage. Hopefully I'll get some people adding me now. This is live. My phone better start ringing. DJ Bill Lage. Put that up on the screen, John. DJ Bill Lage.
Anyway. My color crayon. My
crayon
for a color crayon. I've got
2016. We're back to crayons. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, but here's the thing with my Snapchat is that I could make an overlay. So then when I talk to people, I could say, hey, snap at this, and then they would use that as one of the filters that would come up then, depending on those different locations and such.
Yeah, and I know some have talked about that, and they've been using that quite aggressively. And my question to them is from what the way they described it is they were using it and they were able to buy like a region within all the Snapchat within 5 miles would see this overlay, from my understanding, something to that effect. And it was, so there's money involved. And my first question, whenever there's money involved, is okay. Can you track any kind of traffic or return to know if your money's being spent wisely? And the two people I've talked to about it, neither could. So I questioned. I wanted to know if it was something that was out there, if it was just a novelty, kind of like the face thing.
Sure. The thing with the overlays and tracking it, I don't know how you would track it, but there is obviously, if you promote and have people engage with that kind of thing, you will get followers. And so what's the value of a follower? Your ROI on that, who knows? Down the road, maybe there's a way to monetize that now that they're a follower today. Who knows about down the road type of opportunities. We're
going to take a little bit of a break here, Bill, and I want to come back and I want to talk about now, because Facebook Live has become such a big thing, and Facebook Live is in some realms in the social media world was Facebook's answer to Snapchat. Let's come back and let's kind of talk a little bit about the two and kind of differentiate and go back and forth with that, because we've got some sponsors for our summer 2016 shows here at DJN TV. We'll be right back.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Hits USA from RPM. Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
And we're back. Ta-da-da! Okay, before we break, we were talking a little bit about Snapchat, and we were going through some of the, a little bit about how it can be used and how it's changed from the initial time to what we have today. Now, oh, goodness gracious, Facebook Live started coming on. We heard about it last fall. A couple of people, Vin Diesel and a few others, used it late last fall, and then over winter. It became reality for most of us sometime in March and April. To kind of give us a compare and contrast what Facebook Live brings to the table compared to what a Snapchat video would bring to the table.
Here's my thing, and I'm going to be very honest. I have not yet used Facebook Live. However, I am very excited. I've joined in a lot of different Facebook Live things, and from what I can tell, the thing that differentiates it the most is the fact that you can interact with your audience. Mm-hmm. In fact, even now, I know, John, when you first started this thing, you started saying, hey, how you doing? All these different people. And you're interacting with people through the connection of doing this live broadcast. And now Facebook has brought Facebook Live to a point where now with anyone who has a cell phone can do a Facebook Live chat, Yeah. Obviously, you probably want to connect to Wi-Fi. You don't want to connect over cellular. But then you can do a live stream wherever you are. You can be walking through a sightseeing location. You can be at an event if you want, as long as you have permission. Again, I think that's a huge point, to have permission before you do any video or broadcasting of anything.
Yep.
And so those are things that I think are important. You just kind of make sure that people are there and be very engaging.
And I think for a lot of us, the Facebook Live has more appeal, not only because you mentioned, what is it, Snapchat's like a 15-second video is what it can do?
Yeah, you can connect a whole bunch of 15-second videos, yes.
Yeah, so you've got, we can do longer things. We can do if we want to. I mean, well, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, this is going to be a half-an-hour show, and right. You're going to be out there for 30 minutes. And it'll stay there compared to, you mentioned that you can set a time limit for Snapchat, but there isn't an indefinite time on Snapchat from what my understanding of it.
Correct. You need to make multiple snaps. And like I said, for all I know, the settings could have changed. I just did another update recently where they always change these filters and make it exciting for people. Oh, what's new now this week and stuff.
Yep.
But I think that you can do different durations of video. Or I know for sure for pictures. So if I send you a picture, I can let it sit on your device for 10 seconds or 6 or 4. And, different things like that. So really, you can change the duration a little bit, but I believe video is set at 15.
Yeah. And that's, for some things, I can see that being advantageous, but for the real world, and I say real world, but if you're a teenager and you have a thought and your thought's going to go fleeting in a few minutes and no one cares, yeah, that can work. But right. For like what we do for our businesses, we have to have more hang time with what we do. You mentioned the app. That's actually, for those of you who haven't used Facebook Live, you can do it with your personal or you could do it with your business. And of course, what we're doing right now for Facebook Live is we're actually running it through we're running it through the computer on a program called Zoom, is what Bill and I are talking through right now. I got to look to the right camera. Sorry, my other camera is not functioning tonight. I'm going to look at you now. So we're bringing Zoom, and then we're capturing that with a program called Wirecast, the Pro version, which is very expensive. It's about $1,000. That's why we have DJ and TV Insider. Anyway, that's another thing. There we can send it out to both YouTube and Facebook, which is something you're not supposed to be able to do, but this is an early version of it, and I have not updated it and will not until I have to. Because the updated one, they shut off the double stream. You can't do double stream. But for those of you who haven't done Facebook Live, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. This is actually the local newspaper that Lori and I have with the town, and this has been something where I've been using Facebook Live for my cell phone. I don't think I've done it from the cell phone for the DJ industry, but it's really as simple as here I am. If I can see this, there we go, and I hit to post, and then there's this little circle thing with a person's head in there. I can hit that. I can put in my description of what it is, and we had some nasty weather this past weekend. Sorry, wrong camera. I had some nasty weather this past weekend, and I was able to go and broadcast with them. I can put that up, and within, as I'm just filming clouds in the back here behind the office, and I had 20 people watching immediately.
Right.
It's really interesting how quickly. I think if you can go look at some of those videos and such, they have had over 1,000 people, because Facebook is really enjoying sharing those short Facebook Live segments. Lori did the beginning of a parade, and that beginning of the parade.
Take it to the next level here with that whole idea. So Facebook, if you're a Facebook marketer, if you've been on Facebook for any length of time, like myself, you get upset because the reach of your post. If I say, today I'm going to go have some Cheerios for breakfast, and I post that, only maybe 10 people will see it. Now, if I take and do the same post, say, watch me eat Cheerios live on camera, Facebook gives that a little bit more weight.
Yep.
And it is going to see it. So Facebook is loving videos. It's loving live content. And so those type of things are going to get more reach. You're going to get more of your followers. I think I have 3,000 friends on my personal Facebook. Those people will actually probably see it if I use Facebook Live versus whether I say I'm running a 5K, or if I do here's me finishing the 5K on my hands and knees. So those type of things are going to be more shareable. And then the nice thing is, like what you had held up when you do that video, it says, describe what you're doing or whatever like that. You got to give them a little bit of sizzle. You can tell them, hey, I'm going to go live in 10 minutes. Be sure to check in. And you can say, watch DJ Bill do a cartwheel that he's never done before, or something like that. I don't know. But again, you make it something that people go, oh, I need to check this out. And, they're going to connect, and they're going to watch that stuff. So anyway,
so
hey, I'm on Facebook Live. Just
to prove that we can do it, we are doing. This is actually going to my own personal channel. We're doing a Facebook Live right now of Bill and I doing our live show. Hang on here. We're doing our live show, and we're streaming that to Facebook Live. So we're doing a Facebook Live of a Facebook Live, and it's going out to the whole internet world right now.
And you know what's funny about this? It's kind of a little Inception-ish, if you will. It's kind of you're inside the thing. But I just got a notification on my phone says John Young is live now.
That's exactly what I was hoping that you'd be able to see.
So, I would not have gotten any updates if he would have told me that him and his kids were going swimming, but I got a notification for his live show because Facebook is weighting live broadcast that much more. So
exactly, and that's something that I think at this point in time in the game, for the proper information, Facebook loop. We had an infinite Facebook loop going on. But I think for the proper information, and we've talked about this in other shows, that maybe going and doing a Facebook Live at a wedding is not such a great idea. The Snapchats before the wedding, after the wedding, and using appropriate filters in your head of what you can post and what you can't post.
Correct.
I think that's all part of the importance of the success of using any social media. But in this day and age, you've really got to be wary of those things.
But you also got to think about it outside the box. So let's play that out. So obviously, let's say from the beginning, guests arrive at my wedding till the end. I'm not going to videotape anything of that. But I could easily do 30 minutes before any guests arrive. I could do a live, Facebook Live saying, hey, I just finished getting all set up. I'm going to go get suited up, and I'm going to look good. We're going to rock. Thanks so much for Brittany and Donovan for hiring me. We're going to do a great job, and I promise it'll be awesome. Thanks so much for following me on Facebook. We'll talk to you guys soon after the show. And then, people are going, oh, that's cool. I can't believe. And then you kind of give them, again, a little bit behind the scenes look as to what it takes for being a DJ, which we all know very well, but, not everyone does.
Oh, exactly. And there's a lot of cool things. That behind the scenes thing, as you and I had the conversation a few years back, is people like that, that backstage pass idea, and they like to feel that special love. And so
they do.
That is cool. Well, Bill, our time is just about up here. That we're going to have to wrap up our show for tonight. Sure. I thought I had a question here. I wanted to jump in. It wasn't about Juan and his porn addiction. We'll save that one for later. Buttery, okay, he figured it out. Yeah, the icon with Facebook Live is the same, whether it's the Facebook app on the phone, but it's all app based. I don't think you can go from your computer. Your computer out. I've streamed last week. If you guys go to YouTube, if you search Hometown News and you see the Hometown News, Grayville, Minnesota, that's the newspaper, and I've been streaming with my cell phone, but I've been using the cell phone data to stream. So you're going to see better quality and lesser quality. Lori did a few minutes of the starting of a parade last weekend, and she had she had some really nice numbers of people watching it. Again, they may not be watching it immediately, but just to give you guys a thought here. So you saw the little back and forth. so that little Facebook Live's already got 3 comments on it and a handful of likes on it and such. So talking about the breaking of the time-space continuum.
Doc, we got to get back to the future.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is just a little bit about Snapchat and Facebook Live. We didn't get into it too terribly much because, again, this is kind of a new area for most of us. I mean, there's a few people like Jason Janai and such who have been really aggressive with it. You guys probably know more about it. This is something that as we get into the fall, I want to be digging into a little bit more to really give you guys an idea if it's something that you need to be looking at or not. You know, as of today, it's something I think you need to have on your radar. But is it something that you've got to have to the level of a Facebook? No, not yet. But you have to be aware of it and know that if they change a couple of small things within Snapchat, I think Snapchat could be maybe not in a top 3 with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, but it could be, right up there fighting with Pinterest. But anyway.
Sure. And by fall, I expect to have my $97 a month Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter membership available for everyone. So feel free to send me money. Snap me money. I don't care. Whatever works.
Exactly. Or you could, send up, the post, the little things off the cereal boxes, send a bunch of those too.
Yes, please.
Those will work. Okay, I'm going to put the link. The link for show number 2 is in the descriptions. We'll be back with that in just a few minutes. Bill and I are going to wrap things up. I put it into the comments also here on YouTube, so you guys can check that out. So, yeah, we'll be back in just a little bit with, I think, Jason Spencer is next. Bill, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thanks, John. I appreciate the invite.
All right, we'll see you guys in just a few minutes.